Alright, here you can see notes from my latest set of customer interviews. Some friends of mine asked me to run a workshop on pricing a product. So I wanted to figure out what were the hardest parts about pricing a product. And here you can see my notes. So you can see I've written down a lot of notes from the different customer interviews, and then I've bolded the things that were most interesting to me. Then all I did was take post-it notes, in this case electronic post-it notes, and I made a post-it note for each bolded item. So you can see what that looks like here. So you can see that one of my customers didn't have a clue how to price their product. Their price ended up being heavily influenced by their competition. They did price themselves higher than the competition because they wanted to look like a higher end item. Anyway, so you can see all of the interview takeaways from one particular interview are in pink. Then what I did is I did the same thing for a second interview, this time in blue. So you can see here I've got some blue mixed in with the pink, and I'm also starting to group similar concepts together. Eventually I do one different colored post-it note for all the different interviews, and it looks a little something like this. A big giant mess. As I'm doing, I'm trying to group similar concepts, right? They've done interviews and they were not overly concerned with price, the customers, and interviews, would you pay for this? These are two different customers. You can tell because they're two different colored post-it notes. All right, next step was starting to group them and then weed out the things that were only mentioned by one customer. So you can see everything here has been mentioned by multiple customers, that they started testing at $25, which was the low price, and that failed. This other customer also said low pricing was a disaster. So the two customers said that. Over here in the top left, you can see four different customers said they didn't have a clue how to price, that it was unscientific. So you can see this is a very salient topic. All right, now that I've grouped them all, it's time to start prioritizing them. So you can see that items over here on the left-hand side, they've been mentioned by four customers each. So things like their pricing wasn't based on value, but it was based on the competition or based on their margins. And things over here are mentioned by three customers, etc. So now I've been able to take all of these different notes and assemble them and group them and tell visually which components which things are the hardest for our customers to deal with. And when all is said and done, I can produce a report that looks something like this. Just take little screenshots and say, you know what, my customers have no clue how to price. Here's the evidence. I got four different customers that say that. I also know that optimal pricing isn't their highest priority. I have four customers say losing or not getting customers is their number one concern. So this is really fantastic to know. So anyway, you can now take this report and you can give it to other team members, investors, to actually demonstrate that you have done the due diligence of interviewing your customers to figure out what their real problems are.